Okay, guys, how we doing today? Here we are, the 12th of December, and we're looking at traditionals today. So, my God, no shortage of volatility today. All it takes is, I think we're at 100. Are we at 100? I think we're over 100 tweets on the China deal, right? So we got 101 today. Market screams higher and gives it all back. Right? Tweet trading, dangerous. All right, but let's get into our longer term count here because there's some interesting things have happened since we last looked. I think, if I'm not mistaken, when we last looked at it, we were just here at the pivot, at the intersection here of the median line with this channel that we had drawn. I recall it was right around third week. We were right around November 20th, 21st, something like that. We had just tagged the median line here, and this is count, so the count is unchanged. This was not a particularly popular count amongst Elliotticians, but I think it continues, right, until proven otherwise. I think it continues to work. So, we're just a quick review here. Here's our big V bottoms, right? Market likes V bottoms, V bottoms, V bottoms, right? It's just one V, right? So, I mean, we're 10 years of this. And any retracement has just been an opportunity to buy. Every single one for 10 years. Right, so today is the little sell-off here when we get down to the smaller time frame. What is it they say? You don't fight the Fed, don't fight the tape, right? So market market always wants to go up, right? Just a reminder. It takes the bias every day, always 100% of the time is for the market to go higher. So it takes major news to break that. So I don't know that we have it here, right? So even the slightest whiff of progress on the trade deal, which of course gets, I better not get into that. But so 100 tweets about it, and the market screams higher, and then a closer look and comes back down. So now let's get into the count here. So we are struggling with this as the 2 only because of its shallowness. So from the low, come here, right? We've looked. Come on, trading view, play ball with me. All right, here we go. So just not even the 38, right? Again, it's approximately 12% of wave 2s are only that shallow, but in a raging bull, right, with central bank behind your back, it's terribly shocking, right, that this very shallow. But it's interesting. So we get shallow followed by deep. So I think if the 1-2 here, I think we go again, and this is where I get some pushback from my purists, right? So that I'm seeing this as a 1-2 into that 2. So I think we get a truncated C via this ABC here, which I know purists don't love this, right? But I think that's what we've got here is the ABC into the B here, into the B here. I change that color. All right, and then we come down for the C, which. Right, it's a little iffy, right? Because you're not anticipating that. It's hard to anticipate that, but look what we get here, right? So it comes, right, it's a little bit of a front run on the golden zone. So these break golden zone, but in the context of the ABC trend line here, now I'm pushing up just a little bit to get this pivot here because I want to get the pivot turn here. So I've got some wicks going through. Remember the trend line, it doesn't need to be on every pivot. It's kind of a region here. So I want to include this pivot. So that's why I'm using that. And same here. I'm getting here, and then I miss here. I tick it here. Now we're to and through up here. So, I mean, you make a case here that this is where now we'd potentially be redrawing. But take a look at the set of median lines, right? Look at, we're just tag. We're going to go up and get it again. Certainly seems like we have the correct framing. We're, of course, always, right? The market does this for us, right? So we have the correct framing of pivots to give us that median line. So if you look at this, now, one of the things that we were kind of struggling with here, because if this, when we had just hit this with the channel, we had not gone 100% yet. So that was the hesitation here. So if we look here at the length of the 1 from the proposed wave 2, right? So I'll put this right, well, in here, I'll bring it over. All right, well, note what we do here. All right, so we've been talking about this quite a bit lately because we use this so much in the day trading room. But if you look at the swing now here, look what we do there. As we tag the median line, we hit 100% of this swing here, the 1 wave projected from this pivot, the proposed 2. Well, as we hit the median line, I mean, that's to the tick. right there's the 100% sitting right there. And what we were struggling with was internally, because this is where last time we hit the median line, we were only at the 618 of this. Well, here, let me show you, of the smaller degree. So, oh shit, where was it? Here. So this was, pardon me, it was of the secondary degree. So if we look right here as this, here's where we were last time. We didn't have 100%, excuse me, the length of the 1 from the 2. Right, we didn't have that, right? So here's 100% the length of the 1 from the 2. So if this is correctly identified as the 1, 2, the 3 that we're seeking up here is way up here, right? Well, that would be a minimum. So do you see what I've got there? So here's the confluence point all up here. We've got from this one, oh shit, I know it's getting hard to see. Here, let me take this off. Okay, so from in green, right? So we've got, here, this 1, 2, that zone right here, that's our wave 3 target here for that third, right here, which happens to be coincident, right, splitting the difference between the 1, 2 projection here, which we know if it's going to hold as a third has got to get that high. Interesting, right? So as far as I'm concerned, that's where we're headed, right? And we could do it here. We could do it towards the end of, at this rate. Well, certainly would be kind of interesting. That maybe right along the turn of the new year would be it right there. Interesting, right? So we have us coming into that zone, barring some new information about the trade deal. I think we're just that's where we're headed. Right? So it all lines up fairly well, and then the subdivision works as well. So let's clear up and let's dig into some of that subdivision here, having that identified as a reasonable candidate. So 1, 2. So note what we get here: 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And in fact, right, it looks like we're in the 1 here. So all of this is contingent on the idea that this is our 4 and that we're seeking the 5th, right? It's certainly suggesting much higher prices here. So we got to pay attention to this. If this is 1, 2, and then internally here, now it looks like we go 1, 2. So this is the 1, 2 of the 5th. This is the 1, 2 of the 1 of the 3rd of the 5th, and this is the 1, 2 of the 3rd of the 3rd of the 5th. I know that gets crazy there. That's why you got to change colors and the labels here for the degrees, because you'll never be able to follow it. So per that, okay. So let's go down to let's just go down 1 hour. Let's go to the 2 hour here, so we don't get confused here on this. Okay, so obviously these are significant pivots here, right? The wave 1 highs. Right? So we'd have this one. Well, interesting. Look at the wave 1 high here and the wave 1 high here. Right? Prior resistance. Now we get through, come back, tested for support. Interesting. Just a little side note. So 1, 2, we've got a target up here. So this 1, 2 looks like that's our 3. So let's measure it just to kind of see, are we in the ballpark? And if I recall, this is pretty remarkable. So if that's 1, 2, well, if this is 1, 2, and we've hit the 3rd here, we're just now getting up to the 2, 6, 1, 8 here, if I'm spot on there. So this, and then the sell-off here, that certainly looks like a good candidate here for our. Let's go down to the hourly. If this is 1, 2, 3, we've got this little ABC here in the 4. Well, let's check that. All right, so just standard ops here. All right, where's our high probability zone for a 4? Right, between the 23 and the 38. That's exactly what we do. So we get the little ABC that comes down, and then coming on, I had to go to the minuscule, excuse me. I know this gets hard to see here, but so the ABC comes down, gives us our 4, and then from that 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's the tweet, right, and then here's the retrace after the, well, maybe not. So this would appear to be just the 1 wave going in of the 5th, right? I mean, all right. So you got to look at that and say, well, does that look like that would be the 5, right, of this relative to this 3? Probably not. Right, so I mean, sure, it's possible, right? Look at the length of the 1. Right, so you might look at that and say, well, time is a factor here. Yeah, hang on a second. Let's get some of this out of here. All right, this is spot on. So 1, get your 2. right there. Okay, so let's look at it this way. Length of the 1 projected from the proposed 4. Get you right there. We just tagged 100%. Interesting, right? That was the pivot high of the day, right? As I remind you guys, I'm gonna tell you, right? You don't have to take my word for it. Just do this yourself, right? There are no random pivots ever. No random pivots, right? None that sustain. So there we have perfect technical confluence here. I think we 618. Here's the 100. So could that be the 5th? Well, yeah, I suppose it could, right? So we're going to have a fairly easy way to identify that. That would surprise me, but if this was the 5th at this degree, but then look at that's interesting, right? Exact parity, the length of the 1 right here for the 5, I mean to the tick. So we can measure that pretty clearly, right? So all we're doing now is as to where's the next trade, right? Is are we going to get a 2 or is the 5? Is this 5 in right here? And again, so it would be, I mean, a closer look, that it might be, right? So if that were the case, we're going to be able to tell what we've got here pretty quickly as to how we respond on a retrace. So here's the next buy zone, right down here, and again, just using statistics, right? That's where most wave 2s are going to be found here. Now we know they can go deep, but the probability zone is right there. So that would bring us back here. There's plenty of volume there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If that were it, but then if that were the 5 of the 3rd at this degree, and this is our 2, well, now we're looking for the 4. So 2, if that's the pivot. Let's just, for the sake of the analysis conversation here, let's assume that it is. Okay, so I'm going to get this little one out of here just so we got too many lines here. Let me take the median line off. Let's just hide it. All right, so now we're clearing this up a little bit. So from this 2, if that is the 5 of the 3rd, so yeah, let's put the whole thing together. Shit. Okay, so if that's the 3rd, let's take you up a degree. All right, so if that's the 3rd here, if, right, heavy emphasis on if. I don't think it is. But if it is, well, then we're looking for a retrace that's going to be deeper, right? So we'd be looking for something to come down into this zone, right? So then this pivot, some of this structure here, I mean, here so here's something that you can do, assuming you have this, right? I think not everybody has this in there. Oh, let's go to volume profile, and we'll just go to a fixed range. And from the low here, let's see what the structure looks like. All right, so we can see if we're going to come down here, well, we'd have, right, a nice high volume node right here. If we're going to come down deeper, if this is the 3, right, well, here's the high probability zone. Well, here, let me draw it this way. Let me do it this way. All right, so here's the high probability zone for the 4, right, of this degree. So, here, let me get you, right, it would put you right down here. If this is not 1, 2, and we're going to go further, into the subdivision here right now, right? This is going to be interesting to see. So right in here, so if we just pull left, right, you've got all of this here, but here's the low volume node, which often I will look for because we don't have market acceptance here, right? So there's the potential is we come down here and it's rejected. So if this does start to come down, well, of course, first thing, right, do we go A, B, C, right? Do we come down in a 3-wave structure? Low volume, you got a little pivot there right at the 38. That would set you up just beautifully, right? And then we could probably get some structure on this. Yeah, let's go ahead and take that out. Just wanted to make that point, but I know not everybody has that, and that's in the, I guess, the premium version here. So if this is going to come down here, so let's just look here. Do we have anything? This is all now we're in uncharted territory. This was a new all-time high up here. So coming down to this kind of range down here, kind of interesting, right? So this would be deep. If we came down to this structure, we'd be going down to the 38, towards the 50. If we're going to come down that far, well, then we know that right. So here we get clarity in the count. If we do come down that far, then the 3rd is in, right, from this 2, right? So here, this 1, 2, 3 would be done, right? We'd have that. We'd have some confidence in the count then. we'd know we'd have the completed 3 from the 1, 2 with the truncated C, right? So then coming up here, well, let's just maybe draw a few trend lines here. So, right, the first one we see is right here. Right, so if we were going to come down and break that, that would be significant. You'd probably draw a channel there as well. Kind of just doing that. So it's well, shit, it really is a channel. Let's just turn it into one. So from that, get all that stuff right there. So any sort of push down here to get underneath it, again, I'd be, that's going to take. So if we get, right, the next update on our trade deal, the infamous trade deal of 100 tweets, if we were to get something like that, right, then you're back to kind of doing the same thing, whether you're doing a trend line or a channel, right? We'd have that. We got something along those lines. So next question, is it a 2 here? Are we just going 1, 2 and we're going higher, or are we getting deeper, right? And this the 5 is in. So it's hard to, with that, that's interesting, right? I hadn't caught that. The exact 100 here, that's a common topping point. Now, do we have any divergence there? Likely, because the move today was straight up and then straight down. We're retracing some of it now, but you can see, just look, right? Right, so we had clear divergence at that pivot high. And now you wouldn't be trading the 1 hourly necessarily like with that. But divergence, right, at the high. So it doesn't mean that we can't go higher here. It just means that we've got a significant a potential pivot up here. So something has completed here. Now, is it the 1? Or is it the 3, the 5 of the 3, right? We just don't know yet. So I'd be, I would not be shorting here, guys. I mean, I know it's tempting, right? Continues to go. It's like, God, can't keep going, but you just do not want to fight. You've got, I mean, literally everything you could think of just rationally as to why the market's going to keep going higher. Well, obviously we've got a dovish Fed. We've got an election cycle coming, and the powers that be wanting to stay in power, right, are going to trumpet the stock market, right? So I would just be shocked, right, if we have if this is our top here. Right? That would be shocking. Not that I haven't been shocked before by the market, but that would be remarkable if this ended up being our pivot high and we're just going down from here. So no reason. Really, the next thing you're looking for is the next pivot here, right? So there would be an opportunity here if it's going to trade as a 2, right? And you're more bullish, and where we get more bullish news, right? End of the year, not uncommon to see a rally. Or the next opportunity is here. That's the bigger one that you're looking for. So this kind of this I might trade. There's not enough movement there necessarily here on a 60-minute to make that an option trade. This I'd likely go with options here, trying to get at least that target myself here, but so it's, I just would not be looking for the short side, even though you look at it and you go, oh man, well somebody made some money there, right? And you read, if you guys follow Ray Dalio, he put $1 billion or something on the market, going, being overbought and eventually needing to correct. Yeah, he can afford to swing a few billion around. For us, in the real world, I can't see any possible reason to be looking to get positioned to be short here, other than something very short term on a day trade. Otherwise, it's just, do I buy it here? If that gets stopped out and we're going deeper, then I'm buying it here. But there's nothing here that says time to be a seller. Nothing, zero, nothing. Not to mention the last 10 years. All right, guys, there's plenty to chew on. Okay, I'm going to try and get those 2 FX pairs as well. So back to you in a bit.